according to me, says this: we are all light workers. We all have it within us, and I believe that we were all born onto this planet to bring light to one another. I wanted to start these conversations as I want you to feel like you have a place where you can come, that you're not alone, and maybe hear things in a different way than you've heard them before. I do want to say this: nothing that I'm saying is revolutionary. It's all stuff that you already know, and maybe you've just forgotten. If you remember that you have a purpose, not one single person or being on this earth was born purposeless. So this is a collective awakening that the light is within all of us. We just have to be willing to share it. And you have to be willing to accept that you are here to be light.
You have to begin within, because there's always this element of this outward appearance or a facade or whatever you're trying to show. But the work begins within. I choose to focus a lot on Pilates because I think Pilates it strengthens the body, again, from within. Everything starts from the core, from the powerhouse, and that's what strength is. In Pilates, we refer to the core as the powerhouse. That's where your power is. That's where your strength is. That's where your strength lies. Because all the roads lead to success.
Yeah.
All roads lead there. They all do. We don't know what road you're on today is your road for the day, but all roads lead to success if you keep going.
If you keep going.
There's so much more strength inside of us than we realize. We are more powerful than we know. We are powerful beyond measure. And I keep saying begin within, and I don't mean that in some cliche way. You really have to find a place that's within you that you go. Some people use yoga, meditation, chanting, spirituality. Whatever your spiritual practice is your spiritual practice. Listen, all the roads lead to the same place as far as I'm concerned.
That's right. You're so right.
As far as I'm concerned. Spirituality, I find, is what really settles me. It calms me. It keeps me grounded. I really anchor myself in that. Love is never a distraction. It's never a distraction.
Say that again.
Love is never a distraction. It's never a distraction. It's an enhancement. It's an enhancement, because if they love you, they will enhance your life. They will enhance you and pick you up and say, this is where you're going, and I support you. I support you if you're in Harlem. I support you if you're in Jamaica. I support you if you're in Denmark. I support you wherever you are, go. And that is another level of anchored strength that I find from mentors that don't know me and from a husband that does. That's essential. Don't be afraid to love. Don't be afraid to love. Let love lead. Let it lead. Because every time you let it lead, it will showcase itself in your work. It'll showcase itself in your work. It will be very clear that you are loved or that you have loved. It is clear.
How do we listen? Listen without judgment. Listen without coming up with the response that you're gonna already say. That's really tough. In conversation, we're oftentimes thinking of the next thing that we're gonna say, whatever they're saying that's sparking something in us that makes us wanna speak. What if you're listening to listen, not listening to respond? Another misconception about good listening is when we listen and go, oh, I understand that happened to me, and then we start going into our story. Even though we think we're saying, oh yes, I totally understand, I hear you, I understand, because as soon as you say because, it's now become about you and your story. There's a time, of course there's a time for you and your story. This might not be it. This might be the time that you're listening to somebody else. When I am meditating, I am sitting with the intention to listen to the only voice that is worthy of being listened to. That voice is always speaking to us. The purpose, the soul, whatever it is that's within us that knows more than we do, we gotta listen to that. We're quieting the mind so that we can listen and hear. So it's not just listening to listen, it's listen to hear. There is nothing wiser than the trees, than the earth, than these rocks, than this dirt, than these bugs, than these animals. Okay, let's take a moment for trees. These are trees according to Sierra. They're rooted. They are completely rooted. They can't just peace out and walk around. They're rooted in who they are. And yet, they change all the time. say starting now, they're completely green. They have these beautiful branches with green leaves all over them, but in 3 months, they're gonna turn to yellow leaves or red leaves. Suddenly they look completely different. Next thing you know, their leaves turn brown and they fall. Now they're like, now they're naked. Naked trees. Now they have to start again for 3 months. Next thing they know, there's beautiful buds all over them. People are taking pictures with them, noticing them again. There they are, and it goes and goes and goes in that cycle. We cannot get too attached to the outcome. We cannot curse that we are changing all the time or that nothing is constant. So what if they got so attached? What if they're completely attached to their green leaves? They would just be stressed all the time. Trees would be so stressed because they were identifying as the tree with green leaves, or the tree with yellow leaves, or the tree with buds, or the naked tree. Ooh, that to me is why I often come outside to listen to what nature is having to say. Where can we hear? And sometimes we need to hear from nature.
You know, we feel the same way just about the art in general. Like there's a responsibility in delivering whatever these things we're doing to the audience. There's a contract, which is like, I'm going to be as authentic in my pretending as possible. So hopefully you can receive either a message or even maybe a little escape, or you can see yourself, something. That's the responsibility every day.
Our responsibility, do we think, is to keep showing up for each other?
Showing up. Yeah, because it's easy to get defensive when we find out that we haven't been showing up. And that's what you want to go in the defense land first. You know, well, I've been busy, or I thought. It's just like, they're saying you haven't been showing up. That's it. Now, what do you want to do about that?
That's it.
I want to show up. Well, you know, but when you get defensive and you feel called out, and it's like, you've been called up.
Ooh, say that again.
I like to cite my sources.
Yes.
I saw it in the comment section about somebody. Someone in the comments was like, don't call her out like that. And then someone responded to that, say, no, she's not calling her out. She's calling her up. And I was like, oh, that's good.
I love that. You take responsibility to just level up, just one level. Just
one
see
level up. One level up.
One level up.
One level up. You level. Just think about that. You're leveling up. That's a good thing. If you level up, it's a wonderful thing.
This is how you finish one of your jams. You say, it is your right to find your purpose. It is your job to be great. It's your destiny to mystify. So this is for the rest who are lost and feeling destitute.
It's hard to feel full if you believe you're just a crescent moon. Hard standing tall when there's a giant next to you. So keep shining so they can see the best in you. Keep pressing through. Take with you the lessons you learn along the way. Crawl, walk, run, fly. You'll be jetting soon. It's imminent. As long as you do your due diligence until there's nothing left to do.
So where do you go to get that strength to?
Right to prayer.
Ooh.
Right to prayer and meditation. I talk to God like I talk to my friends. Lord, you know what I need. I am here right now. I don't know how to do this. Give me a way. Where would you have me go? What would you have me do? What would you have me say and to whom? You know, it's like I just go to that place with him. The connection with God takes me there every time. Mm-hmm. And it gives me the opportunity to just say, God, how am I going to be? How am I going to exist today in this world? And while I'm existing, how can I be of service? Mm-hmm. We are both the teacher and the student. And I think that's a wonderful way to go through life. Because it always puts you on the tip of seeking, learning, yearning something greater than yourself. And you always want to be in that sort of space, knowledge and making yourself be more empowered. Being vulnerable allows you to receive all of those things. Asking for help, one, is not a bad thing. But also, if someone asks you for that, be in a place of honor that someone wants your knowledge, your attention, and be of service in order to respond to that person. We are all here to be in service to one another, to love one another, to help each other. If this pandemic doesn't teach us this, I don't know what will. And you know something about this time and being vulnerable, a lot of us have to ask for help.
Oh, I know.
A lot of us who didn't think we probably needed A lot of us who have been operating in the space where we haven't been our most truest, simplest forms of ourselves. A lot of us who have been strong need to ask for help this time. It's just really breaking us all down. You know, we all need a good old renovation, you know, and some of us just needs to be knocked down and built back up, you know what I mean? But like, we're all in that space of, we need something.
Another way to think about being fully present, and a way to define it, is to actively notice. So actively notice what's going on around you. I'm actively noticing the amazing feeling that this garden has, the bees that are literally all around, the flowers. There's these amazing morning glories here that open up right in the morning, and when it's too hot they go like this, and at night they go like this to protect themselves. What if I was just down on my phone, not being present at all times? You miss out on so much, of course, that nature has to teach us and each other. I don't believe in boredom. I think that boredom is a choice. I think when we say, oh, I'm so bored, that is literally taking a big old dump on the moment that you're in. There is always something to be fully present with, to actively notice, to be in the moment with. So be fully present with what is, and it's very hard to be bored, I find. Wow. You are enough. You are so enough. It's unbelievable how enough you are. This is such the ultimate reminder of our enoughness. There is nothing, literally nothing out here that I would go to and say, well, that's not enough, you're not enough. And so why do we do that to each other? I think it's learned behavior. I think we learn along the way as we learn to doubt and fear and worry, all the stuff that ultimately does have to happen to us as adults. We start to build up this wall of, I'm not enough. They are more than I am. They have more than I do. One of my favorite motivational speakers is Wayne Dyer, and he would always talk about, you are not what you do, you are not what you have, and you are not what other people think of you. That is the ultimate definition and reminder to me of being enough, because then the question is, well, if I'm not those things, then who am I? Well, you are this perfectly imperfect, other lightless, we'll talk about later, being that came onto this earth with a purpose to do whatever that divine intelligence is telling you to do. These trees that I'm surrounded by right now, they started somewhere. The divine intelligence in that seed is the same divine intelligence in us, knowing that it is enough. If it was questioning if it was enough, it would be so much harder for it to grow and flourish into what it is meant to be. So
I'm going to bring light and try to get as much light out of everybody around me as possible. The work is very serious, but I also want to have a good time.
Yes.
And my goal is for there to be as much light coming from everybody as possible.
Yeah.
I think that's why the second definition spoke to me, the actively interested.
Yes. Yes.
Because it's a choice.
Yes.
But it's a choice that has to continually be made.
Yes.
We got to keep activating it.
Yeah.
In our efforts to support. It's so easy to one off. I did a post. I gave a donation. I tweeted it. I supported it. I'm done.
Yep.
But, you know, I think the thing about that is that support that now is in the past. So we got to keep it activated so that our support stays in the future and our support stays forward moving.
So 2 questions. How do you think we can stay active in our interest to support others? And when we are tired, where can we get inspired to stay actively interested in supporting?
Right. So I really think we got to take some time and go back into our corners and figure out how to support ourselves and hold up ourselves so that we then can go back out there.
Yeah.
And give real support to others and spread real light to others. I think the way we fill ourselves up is letting ourselves sit in the moments and the experiences that we can have. I can't sit on that couch thinking about all the other places I wish I was. What fills me up is if I just sit on the couch and I'm actually just there. I think we just got to find the knowns and sit in the knowns.
Okay, how do I do this fitness, wellness, health thing without also subscribing to this limited perspective of what's beautiful. Because a lot of times what we see in the industry still now today, and what I did for the beginning of my journey was I let the two run parallel, where it's like, I love my body because I'm using these tools to make it look like what's socially accepted.
Our messaging has been very much centered around what we should be, what we should look like. All the shoulds, which I want that word removed from the from our
Yes. One of my friends would say, stop shitting on yourself.
Stop shitting on yourself. Absolutely. You're shitting on the situation.
Okay, the first thought is, well, who wrote the definition?
Amen.
Like, we have to ask that question of who is the author of what we're subscribing to. Language is so powerful, which is why I love these light lessons, because it shapes the way that we see. It's a very subtle layer that permeates all of our deeper layers and then manifests through our being. So how we understand language and what we mean when we say things is really important. This perfectly imperfect, to me, it represents the polarity of being. Just like in the yin and the yang, you can't have the light without the dark.
Yep.
The light defines the dark defines the light. And I think about that as the same thing for human beings. The only way to experience perfection within ourselves is through the imperfection. Only with both can we be absolutely whole.